As we remember the victims of the Los Angeles fires, the LA Rams found themselves in the difficult position of having to play a surprise road game in Arizona. Nevertheless, the Rams did a tremendous honor to the city and completely dominated the Minnesota Vikings in all three phases of the game. Welcome to Josh's Football Breakdowns, where we don't tell you what you're seeing, we let the film tell us what we're seeing. The Minnesota Vikings entered the game with a 14-3 record, the best record ever for a wild card team in NFL history. And many so-called analysts seem to forget about the fact that the Rams had played Minnesota earlier this season and won that game. And in fact, Minnesota was eager to start this game off with a bang, so they send a 6-man blitz on the first play. And philosophically, I don't like it. Furthermore, instead of going into man coverage, they drop back into a zone. Now, we've talked about that on this channel before. Whenever you send the blitz and then go into a zone, you don't have as many defenders on the back end to cover those zones. You're counting on that blitz to get home. And this is a type of thing that works better as the game progresses, but maybe not at the very start of the game like this. When Demarcus Robinson goes deep down the outside, Stephon Gilmore has to keep an eye on him. When the tight end, Tyler Higbee, goes over the middle, he's picked up by Blake Cashman. And now there's a hole in the zone, and nobody left to pick up Puka Nacua. The Vikings were hoping to confuse Matt Stafford early with pressure and an unusual defense on the back end. But Matt Stafford is way too experienced for that, and he easily spots Nacua, and it's a gain of 27 yards on the play. Undeterred, Minnesota would send another 5-man pressure, but this time they go into man coverage, a sensible option. But check it out, at the snap of the football, Blake Cashman is still moving forward, allowing Tyler Higbee to get by him. And that is an elite throw. A few plays later, LA would be facing a 3rd down and 7, meaning Kyren Williams would have to get to the 9-yard line to pick up a first down. And Williams takes off inbounds, lands out of bounds past the sticks, but the official spots the ball a yard short, and that's interesting, so let's talk about this. What exactly is the rule on this? Where do the officials spot the ball when a player jumps inbounds but lands out of bounds? Well, the rule reads as follows. When a runner goes out of bounds, the nearest hash mark is fixed by the yard line through the foremost point of the ball at the time the runner crosses the plane of the sideline. What does this mean? When the runner crosses the plane of the out of bounds line, wherever the ball is at that point, the foremost point of the ball goes to that yard line and is then placed on the nearest hash. The officials correctly spotted the ball here, bringing up a 4th down and 1. Now, much was made about the fact that due to the circumstances, there were a lot of Vikings fans in attendance along with Rams fans and fans of other teams as well. But the Ramily definitely showed up and had an advantage in this game, allowing Matt Stafford to use the hard count, causing the Vikings to jump off sides and giving LA a first down. On 1st and goal, they put Nacua in motion, but look at the formation. Los Angeles has 3 tight ends and a running back. This looks like a running play. When they fake the handoff to Kyren Williams, the Vikings rush with 5. And that's the idea. Get Minnesota to try to stop the run so LA can turn Nacua loose in the end zone. but Minnesota was prepared for this. But Stafford stays calm, moves on to Colby Parkinson, and you can see him pointing. He wants Parkinson to move away from the defender, which he does. But at the last second, Stafford either spots or remembers that he has Kyren Williams, and he gets him the football for a touchdown. And just think about what we've seen from Matthew Stafford already on this drive. Calmness under pressure, the experience, the judgment, and the physical tools to get the job done. The Hall of Fame buzz continues to heat up for Matthew Stafford. The Rams go right down the field and take the lead, 7-0. In the regular season, offense wins you games, but in the playoffs, it's defense that gets the job done, and the Rams' defensive line put up a ferocious effort in this game. Time and again, Darnold would only have time to make one or two reads, and here is a perfect example on the Vikings' first drive of the game. Darnold makes his first read, doesn't like what he sees, resets his feet, comes over to the middle, and we can already see that pocket tightening. Now, Troy Aikman made a point of saying in the playoffs the ball has to get out quickly, so where could Darnold go with this football? Well, even if he wanted to throw it away, the pressure from Byron Young gets there so quickly, Darnold is brought down for the sack. Let's go back to the snap. I thought this was interesting. We see Darnold putting Justin Jefferson in motion, and he lines him up in the backfield as if he were a running back, and then he turns and says something to him. Now, of course, we know Jefferson is not a running back, but I wonder if Darnold wanted Jefferson to chip Byron Young on this play and then go out for a pass route, just as if a running back would do. Jefferson does not do that, and Young, what he does do is avoid any potential contact with Jefferson to the point where the right tackle, I think he thinks that Young is going to the inside, and when Young comes back to the outside, it caught him by surprise. And Young immediately goes to power and gets right home. So LA would get the ball and they would pick up right where they left off. Brian Flores tries to stay creative on defense, sending another 5-man rush, and we also see a safety drop down, perhaps to meet the threat of the run. This leaves just one safety back deep, and the Vikings again drop back into a zone. The Rams run 2 players into the area of one zone defender. And again, Stafford carves up the zone. The drive would lead to a Joshua Carty field goal attempt. And remember, Carty is a rookie. So how did he do in the playoffs? He was perfect, making all 5 of his kicks, including this one that put the Rams up 10-0. With the Vikings back on offense, the Rams D for the most part was able to bottle up Justin Jefferson, but here Darnold gets him a nice 22-yard completion, their longest connection of the game. And now Minnesota is threatening. But once again, the Rams defense is up to the task. The Rams D-line got pressure on Darnold quickly again. After Darnold fakes the handoff to Aaron Jones, he takes a quick look to his left and almost immediately resets, takes a glance down the field, and then moves in the pocket, and he seems to be moving in the pocket well, but he stops to check on the safety, and it's already too late. Kobe Turner has beaten his man and gets home to Darnold for another sack. So the Vikings are forced to settle for a short Will Reichard field goal attempt, and the kick is good. Minnesota gets on the board, trailing 3-10. And here we get to one of the most interesting turning points in the game. Stafford appears to be brought down dead to rights, but look at the ball. He flicks the ball out towards Puka Nacua. It doesn't quite get there. It hits the ground. making this an incomplete pass, meaning this never happened. Now, Vikings fans might chafe at the rule, but in my opinion, this really, again, goes to Matt Stafford and his intelligence and preparation, understanding the rules of the game, playing within those rules, and doing everything he can to put his team in the best possible position to win. In any event, Minnesota gets the ball back, and now it's LA's turn to get creative on defense, sending Kobe Durant on the corner blitz. And I thought this was a remarkable play call, turning loose Justin Jefferson of all people. If he were to go to the sideline, for instance, he'd have an easy first down. But here Jefferson runs a long developing route. The Rams seem to be prepared for this, so I think this was something they saw on film and were ready to go with. Case in point, Darnold never even looks in his direction, and by the time he realizes Durant is coming, it's already too late. And it's worth noting Michael Hoyt also won on this play as well, making a move to the inside and then easily brushing off the left tackle. Minnesota would be forced to punt, but a penalty on LA would give the Vikings a fresh set of downs. And a few plays later, they would be facing a 3rd down and 8. Darnold makes his first read to Justin Jefferson, a good idea, but he's covered, so Darnold resets his feet, but watch as he throws in an extra hitch first and then resets. Now he's late to his next read. To make matters worse, he hangs this ball low into the inside, allowing Kobe Durant to make a play on the football. And the pass is intercepted by Durant, a huge play. The Rams offense started this game red hot, but here they started to slow down a little bit, and they were unable to capitalize on the turnover, and would have to give the ball back to Minnesota. With the Vikings facing another 3rd down and 8, LA once again makes another shrewd defensive play call. We can see this trips formation to the right, and LA gambles that that is probably where the football is going to be going, rather than to the big tight end on the other side of the formation. So once again, they call for the corner blitz, this time with Ahkello Witherspoon. Sack, fumble, and it's picked up by the rookie, Jared Verse, and he could go all the way. A huge play, touchdown LA, and the defense has taken over this game. Absolutely outstanding. When the offense started to slow down, the defense took over. And here we get a great shot. We can see Witherspoon knocking that football out. Verse picks it up and goes the distance. Now it's just a 2-score game, 17-3. It's 2 touchdowns, and this felt like a huge lead for the Rams at this point in the game. Minnesota has got to get something going. They have got to get their offense going here, so they try to get some points before the end of the half. And we spent a lot of time talking about that great performance of the Rams defensive line, but we have got to acknowledge the defensive backs as well, because the coverage on the back end in this game went hand in hand with that pass rush. Darnold makes his first read to Jordan Addison, and he's covered. So he resets his feet and moves on to the tight end, Josh Oliver. He's covered as well. So Darnold resets again and moves on to the other tight end, Johnny Mund. But before he can get any kind of a pass off, he is moved off his spot. He tries to get back in the pocket, but now he can't make any kind of a read, and he is brought down for another sack. To their credit, the Vikings would overcome that sack and the drive would continue. But here they are facing an absolutely massive 4th down and 2. Minnesota calls a simple play to Justin Jefferson to pick up the first down, but watch as he and Ahkello Witherspoon get their feet tangled up. Tangled feet is not pass interference in the NFL, so Darnold will have to move on to his next read. He never gets there. Why? The Rams ran a stunt up front and the Vikings did not pick it up, and Darnold is brought down for the 6th time in the first half. Wow.
Launches himself.
Since they don't get the first down, by rule, it is a turnover on downs, meaning the Rams get the football with excellent field position, and suddenly it's LA with the chance to get some points before the end of the half. They gain some yardage, but Nakua goes down inbounds here, so the clock would continue to run. The Vikings resort to sending an all-out 7-man blitz, completely vacating the middle of the field, so Davis Allen simply runs to space. Stafford finds him, gets him the football, and there's no more defenders left to bring him down. Touchdown, LA, and the Rams go up big right before the end of the first half. Let's move ahead to the third quarter. And I think here is a good time to talk about the game situation. Minnesota received the second half kickoff but couldn't do anything with it. They couldn't move the football and they had to punt back to the LA Rams. The Rams have the ball up 3 touchdowns now and are just about to midfield. So Minnesota would very much like to get a defensive stop here before LA can get into field goal range. And the Rams are facing a 3rd down and 9, so now is the time to do it. Perhaps sensing that this was the moment and maybe forcing the situation a little bit, Brian Flores reaches deep into his bag and calls an 8-man blitz. At least initially. The linebacker would eventually try to drop back into pass coverage, but even so, this was a desperation move by the Minnesota Vikings. One other topic of conversation that was floating around a little bit this week was whether Jordan Whittington should get snaps over Cooper Kupp in this game. It's an interesting debate, but Sean McVay opted to go with experience. He opted to go with Cooper Kupp. Well, here, because the Vikings sent such an aggressive blitz, Kupp is one-on-one. Stafford decides to throw up a 50-50 ball to him, and Cooper Kupp rewards Sean McVay's faith in him, and he rewards Matt Stafford, and he comes down with an incredible catch, a big play for the Rams. The Rams tack on another field goal, going up 27-3. With time winding down in the third quarter, the Vikings would finally get their offense going with an adjustment. With LA enjoying so much success with their D-line, they would only rush with 4. But the Vikings would still leave TJ Hawkinson in to help with pass protection, at least initially, and then he would leak out late for a pass. This addressed both the issues that Minnesota was having offensively, giving Sam Darnold more time in the pocket and giving him a check down late, even in the face of excellent defensive coverage on the back end by the LA Rams. Christian Rozeboom was still almost able to come over and pick him up, but not before Hawkinson ran away and was able to get a key score for the Vikings, keeping them at least somewhat in this game late. And here we've reached what I think is my favorite part of the game. You know, we saw the exciting start to the game for the Rams offense. We saw the defense dominate and take over in the middle of the game. But now the Rams start to do a lot of the little things that the best teams do to close out these games in the playoffs. To me, this was very impressive. I've stopped it here because we get a great shot of Kyren Williams' shoe halfway off. He tried to get it back on. Stafford had to help him in between plays. He wasn't able to get it all the way back on. And then on this next play, he still picks up the blitz. Now, if you've been following this channel for any length of time, you know that we've discussed Kyren Williams' ability to pick up the blitz again and again and again on this channel. He's one of the best in the NFL at doing that, and he gives Stafford time to throw this football. Now, the pass is incomplete, but I was still extremely impressed nonetheless. Ultimately, the Rams would give the ball back to Minnesota as we enter the fourth quarter, up 18 points, so it's still a 3-score ball game, and Minnesota would make another adjustment. What's another way to slow down that pass rush for the LA Rams? You run the football. Marginal gain, and that clock is still running, so they don't have a lot of time for this kind of stuff. It really speaks to what a strong position the Rams have put themselves in this ball game. Minnesota tries yet another approach, flooding one side of the field with 4 different pass routes, but Darnold, a little gun-shy at this point, pulls it down and turns to the other side of the field. How about that check down? Well, it's 3rd down and he's not going to get there. Ironically, when Sam Darnold turned to read that side of the field, he perhaps missed Jordan Addison going deep. With Darnold stuck holding the football, he goes down for his 7th sack of the ballgame. And I absolutely loved what I saw from this pass rush from this angle. You know, it's late, you're tired, you're unexpectedly on the road due to the circumstances, you're not sleeping in your own bed, but this team continued to work and fight and battle. The rookie, Braden Fisk, stymied initially by the double team. Kobe Turner blocked initially as well, and Michael Hoyt, who went down to the ground, gets back up. Watch all 3 of them continue to work and fight and come up with the sack. This is what the good teams do to win ball games and speaks to the culture in Los Angeles. Okay, 2 more plays to show you guys. We're inside 5 minutes now. The Rams have run a bunch of time off the clock and given the ball back to the Minnesota Vikings. Once again, LA is content to rush with 4. They leave Christian Roseboom in to deal with Aaron Jones, and just take a look at this coverage on the back end. Once again, we are seeing that link between excellent coverage on the back end and a pass rush on the front end. With nowhere to go with the football, Sam Darnold goes down again. Okay, last play. We're truly in garbage time now, but Minnesota continues to fight. Darnold goes down for the 9th sack of the ball game. Deshaun Johnson bringing him down.
9 times.
The final score, LA 27, Minnesota 9. As the fans stream for the exits, what a performance by this Los Angeles Rams team. In face of incredible adversity, they beat one of the best teams in the NFL, the 14-win Minnesota Vikings, twice. That is impressive. This defense looks phenomenal. The defensive line is stout, the coverage on the back end is awesome, and they have a future Hall of Famer at the quarterback position. This Rams team, don't be surprised if they win again next weekend in Philadelphia. They are sharp, they look crisp, they were well prepared, they just seem to be faster than the Minnesota Vikings, and they executed, and they executed properly. I can't tell you how impressed I was watching this film and this LA Rams team on Monday night. Matt Stafford versus the Vikings this season, 44 of 61 for 72%, 488 yards, 6 touchdown passes against just 1 interception for a passer rating of 121.48. Wow. Folks, I want to thank you so much for joining me in this look at the film of this incredible game. If you're new here and you like what you see, please subscribe. We have a great community here, and I would love it if you joined us. Leave me a comment. I read every comment. We do these videos every week. We're definitely going to do LA and the Philadelphia Eagles next week. And of course, I want to thank those of you who have gone the extra mile to help support this channel. Folks, your support allows me to take the time to do these videos right, to give you the quality that you deserve. And of course, I got to give an extra special shout out to our Patreon supporters. Guys, you are an essential part of this team. You humble me, you honor me. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. I would like to dedicate this video to my good friend Greg, who passed away unexpectedly yesterday afternoon. All right, it is going to be the Rams at the Philadelphia Eagles. What a matchup that is going to be. Who knows what's going to happen in that game? I have no idea what's going to happen, but you know, we are going to be here to break down that film, and I will see you guys then.